have his biryani, chicken biryani. Mobile is of great quality, and in no way am I being paid by the company. Free riders at Excel. God, सुरखरू होता है इंसाफ पे आने के बाद, रंग लाती है हिना पत्थर पे गिर जाने के बाद.
Today we have with us Devagya, who has just completed his first year at XLRI. Hey Devagya.
Hello sir, been long.
Yes, it has been, and thank you so much for doing this. So Devagya and I are going to have a casual conversation, where we will address some serious topics around how was his experience at XLRI, some tips for people who want to do an MBA at a B school at XLRI or like XLRI, and also maybe some fun and not so fun moments that he had during his first year. So starting off, let's take the bull by its horns, Devagya. What is something that you thought to be true was not true anymore when you entered the B school?
It's going to be fun. I mean, it's fun in hindsight, but when you're undergoing the process, it's a huge amount of pressure on you. The first trimester in particular is very difficult, but after that it eases up slightly. And then I always thought that it was just going to be a big competition when you enter into a campus like XLRI. That all the people are going to be very driven towards success in whatever means that they find. But in all honesty, I've been able to make some really good friends. And I think that's one thought that I had when I entered into the school that I've been shattered. In a good way, basically. And I've been able to make some really good connections, learn a lot from others. And I've also had people valuing my skills, which came as a surprise, because I always thought that, okay, being a lawyer, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Even if I was to go into a B school, I won't really have much to contribute as far as my particular skill set is concerned. But yeah, there's been a lot of value because it is an HR campus, therefore.
Since you're a lawyer, do they ask you to do a lot of writing or drafting whenever you're a part of a group project?
Yes, but it helps that I am in BM and not in HR. So yeah, but still, whenever there's a long draft that is being called for, I'm always asked to put some words and make it flowery.
Can you describe your first week at the XLRI hostel? What was that like?
Okay, so the first week usually at XLRI is an initiation. So you have the administration also taking part in a lot of physical activities. You have a case that is given to you and the solution that you have to provide, and you have to create a team around providing a solution to that particular case. So you're given a couple of fun activities that you have to do in a team. And it's a great way to start off your B school, because it allows you to ease into the process and also make some good friends. And you also find out people who are, how should I put it lightly, people who do not work hard in your teams, right? The fraxies, as they call them in Excel.
What do they call them? Fraxies?
Yeah, the fraxies. The people, free riders at Excel. You have to be very wary of them in the coming couple of years. People do change though. I mean, you cannot always go by your first impression. And I've seen a lot of people who did not probably put in as much effort in the first week itself, but have done really well after that. So do not always go by that. But it's just an initiation that allows you to read other people, understand where they come from, and learn from them. And it's a great way. It's a great start. And it's also a great start because you do not have a second year batch at that particular point in time. So there's no added pressure of the PSCOM or the other committees putting anything extra.
So it's just the first years for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, first years for the first couple of weeks. It's fun. It's fun. I have to say this.
So when you get used to staying without them, when they finally come back to campus, do you feel like it's an invasion of your privacy?
So thankfully for XLRI, it was not as much, because you have the NH and the OH, the new hostel and the old hostel separated. We were staying in the old hostel, so as it is, the NH is a bit some distance away, so it's around 800 meters from the OH. So it's not like we ventured into that particular part of the campus very frequently. But it's a different sort of experience. It's not invasion of privacy as much as it is certain responsibilities that are going to be based on you. Now, things that I would not be revealing, I should not be revealing.
They want to spoil the fun for everyone else who's coming in.
Yeah, because I want to have fun as well.
Oh, you're gonna be the second year now. Hmm.
Yes, at last.
Any particular challenge that you faced, Devagya? Did you feel overwhelmed because all these talented people from across the country are here? Did you feel any kind of pressure to build your identity?
Not really as much. I mean, yes, people are very, very skilled in the way they do things, and this is in no way trying to undermine their talents. But and obviously, I'm not trying to boast or anything. But I've been helped along by a lot of very friendly people in any trouble that I faced in any subject or in any of the extracurricular activities. I've been helped along. I've tried to help as much as possible. It's a very close knit group back at XLRI. And I know people always say this, that you should be considering people around you as a family, and in particular your B school friends as a family.
Hmm.
But I think I've really come to I've come to see this in action in Excel. So all of these messages came to fruition when you have a lot of pressure building by the professors as well as by the seniors, and it builds a very close knit group amongst your peers. It's really helpful that way, even though you do not see it in a very positive light initially. But after a while, you come to realize that you probably are friends with certain people because you found them to be very useful during a very tough
Hmm.
situation. So it was utilitarian in the initial period where you wanted to find out as much utility from the others, but as a result of which you have been able to make a very strong bond.
That's a beautiful thought process. How difficult are the academics at XLRI? The reason I'm asking this question is I was having a conversation with Anant from A, and he says the joke goes as A for academics, and so their curriculum is really quant focused. It sucks the blood out of them. Talked to a couple of students from other B schools who say, okay, the academics is not all that tough. It's the extracurriculars, the projects, and the events and everything else that makes it challenging. How would you say is the experience at Excel as far as academics is concerned?
I've got a very split opinion on this. I do not really stick to one. I mean, if you want to do everything, then obviously you have to take a bit more pressure than usual. But in all honesty, as long as you're not being driven by people around you and what they are trying to do, I think you'll do just fine. And this happened to me and a couple of people around me, that I always found that okay, this person is doing this, and therefore I have to do this as well. And that is not a thought process that you should be driven by. You should always have your own goals that you should be sticking to, your own individual identity that you should always adhere to. And there are certain things that are not meant for you. For example, when you enter into a B school, there's this craze for consulting jobs.
Mm.
Now, people should realize that maybe it's not for everyone, and maybe your interest lies elsewhere. So if you do not find out where exactly your interest lies, and if you're just running in the same rat race as everyone else is, you would definitely be feeling the pressure because you are doing something that you are not very interested in. Say, for example, I got a couple of Fin shortlists in my summer internship process, and I had absolutely zero interest in Fin. And so when I had to appear for the interview, I was always under this constant pressure that because these are very good names as far as the industry is concerned, and therefore I should be, if I'm able to make it into these companies, I'd probably be very well off as far as my career is concerned. But then after having given the interviews and obviously not having done well, I came to realize that maybe I was just not running the right race for me. Maybe what I really want to do in life is something that is very different from what others are thinking. So yeah.
That's true, Devagya. How do you maintain that balance between being who you are versus, okay, I need to change this about myself and I need to adapt and I need to do that also? How did you go through this transition?
I believe experience is the best teacher. So honestly, I cannot really give any advice to anyone about this. Unless and until you come in over here, you experience the pressure, you won't be able to learn. सुरखरू होता है इंसान आफतें आने के बाद, रंग लाती है हिना पत्थर पर गिर जाने के बाद. So, meaning that a person gains fame when he has been through tough times, and just like when uh, the color of henna comes when you crush it. Right, so there has to be a huge amount of pressure that is being placed on you. You get to learn from it, and I think it's a learning process. It's a steep learning curve, agreed, but there's a lot that you get from it.
Are there any clubs or committees that you're a part of, and how's that experience like?
I was initially a part of the public policy research group because I come from a background that really helped me in that. But I think in the second year I won't be a part of any committee. I'll probably be focusing on case competitions and doing some of the other activities and live projects and all that. Because in all honesty, I find that people who, I mean, it might be for someone, so I'll not try to generalize this answer in any way possible. But I honestly believe that uh, I think personal growth is really important, and personal growth can more or less be more directly attained if you are focusing on activities which give you a direct experience into what corporate life is like instead of running after committees and PORs and all of that. Do not run after seed points is basically what my message is.
A lot of students are under the impression that they have to be part of committees to earn CV points. So how true is that? And if not committees, then what are the alternatives that people can have for both the things, for developing themselves and also strengthening their CV?
So regarding your CV points, if you do not have a complete CV initially, yes, it is going to be important to enter into some club or committee which will provide you that initial burst. But if I'm being very candid about it, then it doesn't really matter as much because honestly, the companies what they are looking for is a person who is interested in a particular field. So instead of maybe going for a committee or a POR, if you could possibly show your interest in say marketing or finance through writing some paper or showing something that is unique, then that really catches the eye of the recruiter instead of just a regular POR that you'll be getting from any company. Secondly, what all you can do. So you have case competitions, a lot of case competitions, and that's very, very sincere advice to all of the first years who are coming in. Please participate in these case competitions because they allow you to think differently. And I saw this happening with myself as well as with people around me that we do not really give as much attention to it. They are a very easy way to earn your initial CV points, and they provide with a very very stable sort of stable answers to your interview questions. So whenever you mention that you participated in such and such case competition, you did relatively well. Like maybe you were a campus winner or campus finalist or something like that. At least the attention of the interviewer is going to be driven towards that, and they'll probably be guiding the interview towards what you did and what you experienced and how you thought things through. So that is one great way of doing it. Other than that, you can always do live projects. Not many opportunities in the first year, but seek out opportunities with the professors if you can, and in case anyone is willing, you can always go to them. This also builds relationship between the professor and the student, and that really helps in the initial few months. Because I remember I always had this one professor that I could approach regarding any problem I was facing. So there were a lot of times when I was under a lot of pressure and didn't really know what to do. So I could always go and sit with him and have a cup of tea, talk things through. Yeah, really helped.
That's beautiful. So I hear multiple things here. One is case studies and case study competitions. The second is writing on and presenting on topics that one thinks are helpful. Live projects. That's excellent. So these three things are good alternatives to committees for people who want to build their profile.
Better actually. Better.
Any memorable experience? I know there must be many, but what comes to your mind when I say memorable experience in your first year?
Okay, so there was this case competition that we had that we're taking part in, Hero Campus Challenge, the 5th season. A lot of teams took part in it, both from our campus as well as nationwide. And if I really have to brag, that was 10,700 plus teams, as my CV point goes.
How many? How many teams is that?
10,700 plus
teams. Are you serious?
Registered for the case competition, and that's how my CV point goes, sir. I'll not try to contradict it. let's let the things remain as they are. And so anyway, it was a very interesting problem that was given to us regarding two-wheeler transportation and how to make it more appealing to Gen Y and Gen Z. And so it was a pretty long drawn process, around 6-7 months. And the initial part was with submission of a one-slider solution to the problem that was given. After that, we had a virtual presentation, and finally, we had our final rounds in Delhi. We came out to be the winners of the competition.
You won that contest.
Yeah, we won it. National winner.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Out
you.
of 10,700 plus teams. Wow.
Yes. Got to learn a lot though. I mean, there was obviously this initial attraction of prize money, but so it was a great learning experience as to how things are actually thought through in the corporate world, because there are problems that they are also facing, and case competitions usually are problems that are actually being faced by these companies, and they want a solution to come from the crowd. So crowdsourcing all these solutions, and
Mm.
the fact that very high up managers in the company thought that ours was the most viable solution really did boost our ego. Actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm curious to know what was your suggestion to them for making two-wheelers appeal.
Sure. I'm not entirely sure how much I'm allowed to reveal, but I'll try to make it short.
Hmm.
It was it was something along the lines of the Delhi Metro. That because the Delhi Metro has these standard lines, the pink line, the magenta line, the blue line, yellow line, and all that, right? So we try to standardize the routes for two-wheeler shared service. So, and because our solution would be basically only viable for the smart cities that are coming up, which have a very defined commercial establishment areas and the residential areas. Therefore, it would be made easier by the very architecture of the cities. So that's something that we focus on. And secondly, this was a very unique attribute that we wanted Hero to focus on, which was the marketing aspect of it. So if Hero was to provide us with the bikes for these shared services, the two-wheeler shared services, and in that case, it will also allow for them to have a free marketing of sorts. Because for people who are using these bikes, they would get to know what exactly these bikes feel like, how they look like, and using them on a very constant basis allows for the customers to have this thought in their mind that okay, we are using Hero bikes. So the very first company that comes to their mind in case they want to buy a bike would be Hero. So we also touch upon that.
Mm. And when you were sharing about this, my mind just went back to a B school contest that I was judging recently.
Right.
And this was the final round. So there were these students and teams who had come in from various different B schools. But as a judge, I know for sure that, and there were five of us, and we had our independent opinions, but it together came through as that the team which won happened to be of the B school which organized the contest. I remember the teams who came second and third, they were so pissed with me. And I remember walking out, backstage, and they were waiting there, and I thought, and the way they were looking at me, I told the college management, I said, "You guys need to provide me with some security after I walk out of here," because they were really pissed off. In fact, two advices. Number one is that content is as important as presentation, because the teams who came second and third, the presentation was really good, but at the content also matters. While the team which came first, their presentation was not top notch, but the content through which they were able to present themselves, that was phenomenal. Second thing is that when they lost that contest, I understand, and I've been in contests myself, and I remember giving all kind of creative abuses to the judges behind their back after I won the second place or the third place. I didn't win a place at all. But now that the contest is done, if they do not focus on what was the learning from this contest and how they can be better the next time if they were in a similar situation, I think it's going to be challenging for them.
Yes, sir, definitely. Because I mean, so once you enter into B school, you come to realize that yes, content is king. I mean, content of any advertisement or any product itself. If the product is not of a good quality, you would definitely not be able to sell it just with putting on a good cover. And in this, I'm reminded of one thing that I read while I was preparing for the interviews. And I always used to cite this in the interviews whenever I was asked any marketing question that which company do you think is doing the best as far as marketing is concerned, and which one do you really follow? So I always used to say that Xiaomi is something that I really idolize in the way that they came up with this very innovative idea of selling their product. And I remember this was a flash sale on Flipkart. And since I myself am a Xiaomi user, Xiaomi handset user, so um, number one, the mobile is of great quality, and in no way am I being paid by the company, so please do not blame me for that. Yes, I'm referring to
Which
someone else.
contest is this one?
So,
Mm.
yes, the phone in of itself is of very good qualities, and therefore they do not need to focus on marketing it as much. So always try to make your ideas very good and very thorough. Think through the nitty-gritties, think through the intricacies that are involved, and and do not focus. I mean, I'm not saying that you should be ignoring your presentation, it's not, but it's not something I should be overtly worried about.
Hmm.
It is something I should be able to probably be mastered within a couple of years while you're at B school. And this
Hmm.
whole process is there to make you learn that. After having been through a couple of challenges myself, and in particular the most recent one after my interview was cancelled. I mean, I was shell shocked, if I'm being very honest, and it was a pretty bad experience because until then I'd spent a lot of time preparing myself for the internship process, and for the next couple of months I'd been studying a lot regarding whatever was to come. And after that one fine day when you suddenly are told that the internship will not be taking place, then obviously because news came so late, therefore we did not really have any other opportunities that were waiting for us. And secondly, because something that you have been preparing for all feels futile, because you obviously will not be able to remember much of it, say a couple of months down the line, right? Your preparation was for the present. However, the one most important thing that I learned from it was that these difficulties will keep on appearing, and if you're not able to strengthen yourself internally, then you will always have difficulty adjusting to these situations. And I believe I'm much better off as far as my peers are concerned, even if they had their interviews in order. With regard to the fact that this was a very unique experience to me, it was a very difficult time. I found people who were very supportive of whatever complaints I had regarding this situation, and in that I had also been able to find a strength within me to overcome the situation, which I always thought that I did not have. It was pretty enlightening that way.
Beautiful, Devagya. Just a background for everyone who's watching. This video is being recorded in the beginning of May 2020, which is we are in the middle of this pandemic, and a lot of B school internships got cancelled, and one of the affected students was Devagya. And we were discussing before this, before the video began, on how you're coping up, and he was this filled with so much of gratitude about the fact that he was able to land another internship. I didn't find him complaining about the institute or the company where he had gotten placed before. Nothing at all. And if you just heard him, he's also so positive about the fact that this is a different kind of experience and different kind of learning, and he's been able to explore himself in a different light. And that's such a good way of thinking about things, Devagya. I loved it. Looking back, is there anything in the last 1 year that you wish you had done differently?
Looking back, I believe had I put in a bit more effort, I probably would have done well. Uh, Having said that, that also would probably have meant that I would not be spending as much time reading things that I found to be very useful. So it was giving up something in order to gain something else. So I had to make a sacrifice as far as some bit of sacrifice as far as my academics are concerned. But in return for that, I was able to learn much more regarding any area that I'm interested in, which is nothing.
Before I dive into a serious question, which is going to be perhaps the last question today, as I know you've spoken so much, you've finished that 1 liter of water. I think that's on your desk right now. How is the how is the mess food, Devagya?
Mess food is good and bad. Some days, some things you like, other days you do not. I mean, there's no sugar coating it. And ironically, I have a variety of options which are available to me right outside the mess, which is in the form of Bishuda, who has been operating his canteen for the past, I don't know, more than 30 years now, 35 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he serves amazing food. So, in case you ever were to visit the campus, please do come by and have his biryani, chicken biryani.
Really? What's
Amazing.
the name of the canteen?
It's Bishuda.
Bishuda.
Yeah.
Chicken biryani at Bishuda. Made a note of it. So, Devagya, just one final thing. So, for marketing, especially people who are interested, what would be your one bit of advice on what they can study and work on before they join the B school?
Kotler, God book.
Kotler.
Yeah, God book. Read it through multiple times in case you have the time.
And other than marketing, and you could perhaps answer this for students who are familiar with math, etc., and accounts, and students who are not familiar with these subjects. What are some of the hard skills and soft skills that students can work on?
try to cover as much as you can regarding accountancy basics. And I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find a couple of free books online. So download them, go through the basics of accountancy. 11th and 12th accountancy, in case you're able to get your hands on the NCRT books, that's fine. And probability and statistics is something that that will probably be covering your first and second trimester, and that should do. If you are able to cover these 3 or 4 topics: probability, statistics, accountancy, and some degree of marketing, I think that would really hold you in very good stead for whatever is to come.
Thank you so much for doing this, Devagya. I'm sure it will help a lot of people, and I really enjoyed this conversation.